Alrighty, getting ready to play in the Super Bowl and really coming on as a good surprise this season, Rashee Rice, kind of coming out as Patrick Mahomes' number one wide receiving option. Well, aside from Travis Kelce, of course, I mean, but a wide receiver. He hasn't had a true number one wide receiver um, in quite some time, honestly.
It's
So,
Tyreek.
yeah, since Tyreek left. Um, so Rashee Rice kind of filling in that spot. And now the question is, does that continue into next season, or do they actively try to find and bring in another wide receiver, whether it's draft or free agency?
Well, and it's interesting too because, as fantasy football nerds, we tend to scour the internet for stuff. And I saw one the other day saying they think Rashee Rice will be a top 10 Dynasty fantasy wide receiver next year. And then I've seen almost everybody else talking about how they still need receiver help, which is true. They do need depth. We were just talking about the depth chart behind Rice right now. Richie James, Justin Ross, MVS, Hardman, Watson, Tony, Sky Moore. Like, nothing behind him inspires you at all. But it's like, do they use him as their number one and go grab a number two type guy? Or I'm seeing a lot of people saying, they need to go sign T. Higgins, which would probably push him into like that 1B or number two role. Either way, I think Rashee Rice is a guy that Patrick Mahomes trusts.
Yep.
Whether he's number one or number two, he's going to see a lot of targets and a lot of work in this offense because he trusts him. And honestly, getting a complementary piece like a Higgins, or if they draft a guy maybe a little bit earlier this year for a change to play with him, I think it could help open him up even more. And Kelce, too. I mean,
I agree. I think that would help with the quality of targets versus a quantity of targets.
yeah.
Because in some of these games, I mean, he was getting, 9, 10, 9, 12 targets late in the season,
Yeah.
and so he probably wouldn't get that same count. But there's also a lot of these other games where he was scoring double digit fantasy points and only getting 5 to 6 targets a game. So very effective, scoring touchdowns. So he's built that rapport with Patrick Mahomes. And I mean, if there's any quarterback you want to build rapport with, it's Patrick Mahomes at this point. So because they're going to throw the ball and he's going to get the ball to you. So I think even if he does fall into a 1B or number 2 wide receiver role, he's still going to be effective.
I completely agree. And like you say, it doesn't even matter who they go get or draft or whatever. You can definitely see too, like the numbers tell the story. If you look at his season, he's getting lower targets, but still being pretty efficient with them. And then after the bye, he really turned that corner into being the true number one and getting those high targets and higher double-digit fantasy point games for owners. So I definitely think with a whole nother offseason to go and going into next year, I don't know. Top 10 seems a little bit high, even if they don't bring in somebody else and he remains the true number one. That seems a little bit high, but he is definitely going to be someone you want on your rosters going forward.
Yeah, and let's not forget, this was his rookie season.
Yeah.
The kid was a rookie. I know he didn't blow up like a Puka, right?
Right.
But the guy did really well for his rookie season. So he's probably only going to get better from here.
The difference is with that, though, Kansas City thought that they had some guys they could use with Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore and guys like that early in the season.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice, like a true rookie, had to kind of build that rapport, work his way in. Whereas Puka, with the injury to Cooper Kupp, was thrust into the spotlight from day one. He didn't have a choice. He had to grow up fast, and he did.
Yep.
So a little bit different arcs there, but I do think that Rice is going to be like, if I'm in Dynasty, I'm trying to buy him right now.
Same. I have him on a team, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah.